Alrighty. Let's see if Barney can work it out. Here we go. Hey, Luce. See if I can work this out. Unable to join. Okay, why is that not working? Try invite yet again, Barney, if you're there.
Hello.
There we go.
Sorry about that. My brain wasn't working quick enough to tap the thing as it came up.
Have you not done one of these before?
Nope. It's my first time.
Yeah, okay.
Well, first time on Instagram anyway, so yeah.
Where do you normally do lives or wait for anything?
In person they've usually been if I've done live. So it's first time sharing the screen like this. That's not a Zoom sort of thing or anything like that. But yeah. So thank you for the experience. It's very generous of you.
You're welcome. It's a little bit different. Yeah, I've only done a few. Yeah. But no, it's just an easier way of collating the video at the end of it as well. So it's a good way of doing it.
Cool, man.
Yeah, sweet. So basically we've got me running, you breathing, and they do very well together. So first up, we're basically just going to have a chat about the benefits of breathing with running, exercise, performance, etc. Delve into that and just basically see where it goes, hey?
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, cool. So I think the first thing to talk about is like a brief history of your kind of running performance around breath.
Yeah, long time athlete, used to be a rugby player, etc. Exercised my whole life and never really gave any thought to how I was breathing until 3-4 years ago, I suppose. But I'm also, my day job would be, I'm an arborist, so I'm a tree climber. And when I first started learning about my breath, I then realized that while I was doing my job, I was using my breath to regulate myself at heights. So then when I sort of took up running, maybe a year and a half ago, I suppose, running for enjoyment and long distance running, as opposed to forcing myself out through a horrendous experience of trying to push 5Ks or whatever it was. I then managed to sort of marry the two together of I'm trying to understand how I feel as I'm running, and how to manage that, and how to manage the run basically as I go, so that now when I go for a run, be it however long the distance is, I can decide whether I'm actually performing or if I'm clearing out the cobwebs or I'm rearranging the filing cabinet, as I call it. And it's such a enjoyable experience. So I'll always tell people I'm not a runner. Most of the time it hurts quite a bit in the old knees and what have you, but I really enjoy the experience. And then when that can then transfer quite nicely into the actual performance side of it, because I'm actually enjoying the experience rather than consistently thinking, am I done yet?
Yeah, cool. So when you first got into the running, 18 months ago, like obviously you've got all this experience and knowledge behind the breath. How did you feel putting all your knowledge into breathing? Like, was it a challenge to start with, or did you find it quite easy? Did it flow?
Well, when I first started trying to do this running, yeah, I kind of learned it all and then I had to put it into practice, and it's not easy.
A lot.
It's not easy straight away. So I took a break from running this year at the beginning of July because I overcooked myself enormously and my feet were swollen up to my knees and what have you from overcommitting to too many events in one hit. So I'm now in that phase of rebuilding, and I'm struggling. So I've gone from being able to be absolutely spot on with my breath work, my breathing for 50 Ks or whatever it is, to now I'm struggling again. So basically, what it is I'm currently rebuilding, just getting used to nose breathing while I'm running.
Yeah.
So at the moment, it's a case of, okay, I'm going to take it easy to get back in because I know what I'm like. I'll overcook myself real quick again. So I'm just running with my dogs in the morning for 5K or whatever. I usually just don't really think about how far I'm going. I just go. And the idea is just to get used to nose breathing. And at first, maybe that first K is nose in and mouth out, because I've immediately stressed myself out a little bit by going for a run. And it's also really hard to find that rhythm. So you find a rhythm with a nose in, mouth out, and then you can reduce it back to nose, nose. And then you get used to the idea that you're going to be spraying snot all over your face for most of the run.
Yep.
So if you're okay with lifting your t-shirt up and wiping your nose on your t-shirt, then you're great. Otherwise, have a tissue maybe handy or something like that. But so depending on the weather as well. So some mornings it's just a bit too cold and everything starts flopping all over the place, but that's a maintenance issue. So for me at the moment, I'm now retraining myself to breathe better while I'm running. And then I'll up the distances, and after I've received my coaching, of course, I'll do my longer distances, but I'll also change the breathing as I go through, or maintain the breathing better as I go through it. So yeah, it's not an easy process, and I've worked with quite a few people who have never even breathed through their nose, like walking around the supermarket, let alone going for a run. So it is an interesting transition, let's say that.
For sure, like as you would know, breathing has become quite big over the last couple of years in performance and running and that, and there's still a lot of people kind of arguing against the nasal side of breathing for running because they probably say too hard or it's not efficient or whatever. But what would you say to those people who are saying, no, there's no point in breathing through the nose? Like, what's the best way to kind of explain to them?
Well, I'd ask them if they tried it as well, you know. So the, to me, the point of it is being able to stay present and being able to stay focused. So yes, you've got to go from A to B, but how are you going to get there? How are you going to go through it? Are you going to remain present with what you're doing? And like people who've been running their entire lives probably will be fine mouth breathing the whole way. But if you're taking up running, or you've had a break or whatever, it's that constant mouth breathing into the upper chest area, which is going to flip your nervous system into that consistent fight and or flight, so that you're always up and there's no flow state. So in an ideal world, we want that flow state, be it running, rowing, riding a bike. So any sort of long endurance-y type stuff, you ideally want to end up in a flow state, but not so much so that your performance dies off, but in a flow state where you're completely aware of what's going on. Yes, okay, I'm going a bit slow, maybe I'll pick up the pace, but you're not peaking and troughing. You're not going fast, slow, fast, slow, fast, slow, and all over the place. And then you can maintain yourself that way. and you can understand the how your body is reacting to the running, but also how the terrain is affecting you. So as the terrain changes, you can change your breathing pattern.
Okay.
So what we have is what we call a gearing system for breathing, and what you and I are in now would be gear one. Maybe not me because I'm speaking right now, but it's nose in, nose out.
Yeah.
Simple sort of sitting down, doing not a lot, keeping it easy. Gear two is still nose in, nose out, but for this, and this is for your average person, nose in, nose out. They're up and walking around there at the shops, picking up the kids from school, whatever it is. Now, for you or me as runners, that would be running. That would
Uh-huh.
be a gentle run, or a steady run, gentle run, whatever. Then we go to gear three, which is nose mouth. Things are getting a bit more serious. For your average person, that's that's where they start running. But for runners, gear three is the gradients coming up. So we need to. So and when I'm talking about nose in, nose out, it's deep breathing. So it's none of this chest breathing. It's down into the diaphragm. So whereas a mouth breath would be, and it's very sort of lungy and up. When you're breathing in through the nose, it's very deep and long. So it's more of a. So you're really sort of elongating that breath in and out, and straight away, the nose is pushing stuff all over the joint, but you can get that big, deep breath in into the parasympathetic, into the diaphragm. And then gear four is your mouth breathing. So for everyone else, it's in an eye, it as it should be. That's your fight and or flight. So if someone's chasing you with a knife, you may breathe through your mouth.
For sure.
But if we change that into then the running side of things, if you're up a hill that is kicking your ass, mouth breathe. Pick a fight with the hill and go with it. Work hard by all means. At any point during your run, if you need to work hard, that's when you mouth breathe, and that's when you give yourself a push. But because you've decided to, not because you're constantly doing the whole way through. You know what I mean? So you can then be more in control of the pattern of the run. You can actually have a game plan, if you will, with your breath. Okay, I'm
Yes.
going to up my breathing now. I'm going to give myself a bit of a kick. And when you are mouth breathing, it's not super gentle and super light. It's and you're actually telling the nervous system that it's time to pick a fight. And then when you get to the top of the hill, or you finish the fast bit that you want to do, or whatever it is, you then dial it back down through it, and you go back down to nose mouth, and you get that bigger, longer inhale. The pace drops a little bit because you've chosen to, and then you can maintain that pace with the nose mouth breathing. And then when you feel super comfortable with it, maintaining that same pace, you drop into nose if you want, or if you can. And that's the sort of the way you can then sort of manage your run. And for me personally, at no point do I think, how far have I gone? Am I nearly at the turnaround point, or am I at the checkpoint? Or, it's you're completely aware and mindful, and you're looking at the kangaroo over there, and you're completely aware of all of your surroundings, as opposed to, oh, I don't feel like it today. This is killing me.
Yeah, I don't want to get to my 5K mark. I
Yeah,
don't want to do my 20 minutes.
yeah,
I'm going off
it's
package feeling.
yeah. And you just like, and as soon as you get to that marker of, be it a distance, or for me, usually it's my alarm will go off and tell me I've done half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour and a half, whatever. I'm like, oh, wow, that went quick. And
Yeah,
then you turn around, and then you can turn around and go away again, or go whatever, do whatever. You can then make your decisions from there as to how your body feels and how you're traveling mentally.
So a question for you then, you say recently like you're in a bit of pain with your knees and your feet and all that. So would you kind of use that gearing system as well to help with the pain levels, to decrease them, or just take your mind off of it, etc.?
Yeah, I mean, well, that was from, overcooking myself. And then the knee thing is usually just me warming up and getting used to running. But again, yeah, it's observing how your body feels, and working through it, and understanding that your knees are sore. Okay, breathe a little bit slower, slow things down until your knees feel right, then go differently again. But also, because you're kind of more aware of yourself, or I'm more aware of myself while I'm running, I can then also, and I'm quite aware of my body and all that sort of thing, I can also flip in and out of muscle groups depending on the terrain.
Yep.
Whereas before I was working with my breath, I was just like A, B, go. Whereas if you're, and I've done this with a couple of runners that I've worked with, if you're more aware of your breath, you then become more aware of the body. And so therefore, when things are starting to talk to you, you can then adjust appropriately because you're more aware and more focused and more not focused. You're focused on the task, but you're not solely focused on the task. You can be present within and choose how you go about everything that you do.
Yeah, you say you're able to switch between muscle groups. Can you explain what you mean by
Yeah.
that? Like from what
So like,
group to which group?
yeah, if you're on a flat, you know, let's say you're on a flat, you're pulling the ground towards you with your hammies and your glutes, and you know you're in a nice situation, and then you start heading up a hill, and you can flip it into a bit more quad dominated movement, or you know that you can choose where the main drivers are of the legs are going to be working.
Yeah.
So that you're not constantly using the same muscle group the whole way through. I mean, I worked with a guy who would always get super tight through the ITBs, and you know, really struggle afterwards. And it, you know, he just had no control over his hamstrings and his glutes. He had no idea that that was a thing that you could. He just went run, and he was doing 100 Ks, and he was doing really well at it. But if you then change that into feel more into your body, feel more present within yourself via the breath and learning about your muscles, you can then make those conscious decisions as to how what's going to work best for you with the terrain and or how fast you want to run or all the rest of it. So
Yeah, exactly. I've just had a client who came to me for knee pain. He's an ultra runner. He just did his first 100K run down Grayson Road on the weekend.
cool.
He came to me with knee pain. We did a bit of treatment, but then we also looked at his running technique, and he wasn't overly aware of how disconnected he was from his body. Like, he didn't run badly. We just tweaked a few things where we actually got him off the ground a bit more, using his foot strike to his advantage to get more glute, more hammy, but also the exercises behind building posterior chain connection from calf, hamstring up to glutes, not just the individual muscles working as one. And he messaged me that night after the run and said, finished it 13 and a half hours or something, no pain. And it was like, sweet. Like, to
That's
be able to do
amazing.
100 Ks with no pain, like, that's just gold.
Yeah, that's insane.
And we haven't, we didn't even get onto the conversation about breath yet. So that's coming up with us. So, and he's going to be continue working with me for a while now and on to his next big race or whatever. So it's really cool when you do get that connection of the body, being present with your body, aware of your body, and then as you bring in the more of the breath and have that gearing system to really push how you are in control.
I mean, that's brilliant. Yeah, you've got an established runner that is now feeling themselves and is pushing well. I mean, 13 hours for 100 Ks and pain-free is crazy. I'm assuming he's not in his 40s.
Late
but then
30s.
If you can add the breath in and the more sort of mindful management of the whole thing, I mean, yeah, I'd love to hear what the next result would be.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, obviously I'm learning more from you now, and as we catch up this weekend to go through your running technique, like, you know, I'm going to pick your brain as well about how to, with that gearing system, like, when you introduce this gearing system to someone, is it something that is it just with performance, or do you get people doing it at rest first or throughout their everyday habits?
Yeah, so if it's brand new to them and the whole nose breathing concept is new, like it was for me when I first came across it, I was a chronic mouth breather and having all sorts of issues resulting from that. It's a case of start from the ground up and rebuild the whole thing. You know, you can try and say, right, go for a 2K run just breathing through your nose, but it will be interesting. And it might be too much of a struggle. You don't want to put people off because quite often the nose will get quite hot and unpleasant. And then the next couple of days they'll have a bunged up nose because of it, which is not which is an inflammation sort of thing, because the nose is a use it or lose it kind of organ. So you got to rebuild it gently. I'm in my experience, rather than just going right, go, do some interval training with only breathing through your nose. So where I would start is a functioning breathing pattern, which is requiring nose breathing 99% of your life. And then I would be testing carbon dioxide tolerances, the ability to, what the exhale test might be, to show their control over their lungs, also highlighting the CO2 tolerance as well, and a couple of other things just to see where they're breathing at, and then build it from there and just say, right, every day, be conscious that you're breathing through your nose. And when you do find yourself breathing through your mouth, don't give yourself shit about it, because it's just a thing. And just return back to the nose as frequently as you can. Then it might be something simple like, all right, we'll sit on a static bike for 20 minutes. Go whatever pace your nose breathing allows. You'll know really, really quickly when you're nose breathing that you're going too fast at first.
Oh, definitely.
You've probably done it yourself. You know where that edge is, so you go to that edge. You probably cross it a little bit, then have to go nose mouth, and then you dial it back to the point where you're nose in, nose out, and then you can just stay there at that point. And the better you get at it, the higher that edge will get. So the pace will pick up over time. So once you get comfortable doing something static like that, or simply going for a long walk that is faster than you normally would, maybe with a backpack or something like that, then you add it, and then you turn it into a run. And I wouldn't get up. Sorry, dog. And then it would be a case of gentle jog, and just simple stuff, and then build it and build it and build it to the point where, okay, cool, I'm good with this. He wants to say hi. There he is. And just like with anything, get down. Dogs ruined my train of thought. Just like with anything, you'd start super simple and just build it. And some people catch on real quick and they love it and it's great. Other people, everyone's different. Everyone does things differently. So just pick what works and just keep rolling with it. And generally, as soon as you want to start running, I would say probably nose mouth, because it provides, that mouth exhale provides a bit of safety. So the nose can be pretty scary, because there's that air hunger that kind of comes with it when you're still learning your boundaries with how quickly to go and how, or whichever. So the mouth breathing, the mouth exhale gives people a bit of a security and safety around it, and then you can dial it back. So it's almost like skipping a step and then finding out where you're at with it. And then you can and then you'll just know the body will respond. You'll either struggle with it, so you need to dial it back. And everyone generally hates it because they can't run as fast as they normally would.
That's the
so like with anything, you've got to, in order to improve, you've got to take a step away for a little bit. So maybe not in the build up to a big run. After a big run, when you've got heaps of time before the next event or whatever, start and rebuild the whole thing, and you'll quickly find your way back to your normal pace. You've just got to be able to sacrifice X amount of time to not be as good as your ego says you can be, or whatever you're used to. You need to abandon times and just build your ability to breathe properly. And like I said, with the CO2 training as well, which we can talk about more if you want, that will just help everything as well. So when people come to me, like the first thing they do is like, well, I can teach you all this stuff, but if your body's not right for it, then there's no point. So what carbon dioxide tolerance is, like, we're all taught oxygen in, carbon dioxide out. Yeah.
Yep.
That's what they tell us, and then they say, spend the rest of your life breathing. But what we want is the ability to withstand carbon dioxide building up in our lungs and be okay with it. So what we have at the moment is a world full of stress, stimulants, just stress, we'll call it. And we end up breathing too much. So we end up over breathing. We end up dropping our mouth open. Like I talk to people about nose breathing, and they're all sitting there with breathing through their noses, and it's like how quickly does your mouth drop open when you stand up and walk away?
Right.
How quickly do you perceive that you're doing exercise and your mouth drops open? You start walking around and you go, and you're straight into that, which is up into your sympathetic. Therefore, we have a tendency to overbreathe, which means we're getting rid of too much carbon dioxide too frequently. Therefore, when we have those moments where we need to sit with carbon dioxide, we can't tolerate it.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, if we can breathe less and be okay with it, we'll be better at everything. So if you then transfer that into running, if you can breathe less while you're running and still function, then when you do need to breathe more, you'll be better at it, and everything will sort of take over. And from a mental health point of view, I can't speak highly of it. Higher of it. It totally changed my life. You know, I feel, you know, my body came back to life, my mind came back to life, everything just changed. So and it's super simple to do. All you have to do is sit and hold your breath after breathing out. We ran through it the other week at the CrossFit event that we did at Thornbury. So it's simple. It's a simple take 3 normal breaths, and after the third one, you exhale and you hold your breath and see how long you can hold it for. And then we notice that first little sign in our chest of "Excuse me, could you breathe now, please?" which is usually pretty quick. If we can raise that up, then we're going to be breathing less, and we're going to be comfortable breathing less, and the body's going to be more regulated and find hormesis or homeostasis or whatever you want to call it quicker, because we're in that less breathing. You know, ideally 6 breaths a minute is where we could be at rest, but I think the numbers are currently, I think I'll have to check it, around 18 to 25.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Shit.
A minute, and that's just and people don't, it's like short shallow inhale exhale, and that can be done to, but a lot of people sit there nose breathing, but they're still short shallow nose breathing as well. So it's that sort of retraining the diaphragm to move as well, and actually get it loose, because it can get super tight. It also holds heap of emotions, which is kind of cool when it does release. And yes, so if we can get that right, and then you'll be way better at getting the nose breathing and getting the flow of the breath. And then, you know, it just makes sense that if you're going to be an athlete, you need to be able to breathe right. And they did a study recently, and I think they studied, I can't remember the exact number, but it was several thousand elite athletes, and 90% of them had a dysfunctional breathing pattern.
Wow.
One of which was one of the All Blacks, and he had a 7-liter inhale, like capacity of his lung.
Yeah.
But when he was performing, he was using less than 2.
Jesus.
So that's a lot of oxygen that you're missing out on.
Yeah, there's a lot of potential just untapped there, really.
Yeah. And if you think of it from that point of view, as opposed to, that's a big difference there. And you know, and I talk to people about this as well, is like, you know, when you need that sprint, yeah, cool, go
for it.
When you're not required on a pitch of sport, dial it back, get you actually recover, rather than you're still practically sprinting, but your body's not moving. You dial it back, and it takes a while, and it's hard to do. You know, I was trying to do it yesterday morning after CrossFit. I was lying on the floor, you know, my lungs are bleeding and all that sort of stuff. But it was okay. Regulate myself as quick as I can. Be the first person standing and walking around and recover. I was like, and then you can say what is next, because you've gone from that heightened state of mouth breathing, and then immediately flipped it on its head and fixed it, rather than lying on the floor, still mouth breathing, feeling sorry for yourself.
Yeah, just waiting for everything to come back.
Yeah, and And when it comes to like I said before, like when it comes to running, you've cleared the crest of that steep hill, mountain, whatever the hell it is. You could then instantly recover and keep going. What's next? Because you're choosing to downregulate the nervous system.
Yeah.
And then cool. Then okay, that part of the game plan is now dealt with. Now what's the next part? You know, because you obviously can see where you're going. You can choose how to run for the next bit. Then you can choose how to breathe for the next bit and keep yourself going. So it's like the more infrequently your mouth breathing on these big runs, the better it's going to be in the long run.
Literally in the long run. Yeah. Wow.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you know, I never in my life thought I'd be able to survive a 50-kilometer run.
Mm.
Yeah, like even in the training, I did a 30-kilometer was the longest training I did because I'm blasé about training.
Yeah.
But it was one of the funnest things I've ever done. You know,
Yeah.
and
Great.
the scenery was beautiful, everything was great, and it was early in the morning. I started in the dark here on the peninsula where I did the 2-bay trail, so it was pitch black when I started, which was kind of exciting and new for me. And then, you know, there was all the kangaroos and all the scenery and all the beach and that. And at the end, yes, okay, it was kind of hurt a bit, but I was ecstatic. I had so much fun.
Yeah. It's amazing when you can really unlock that potential. I mean, it's funny how you say that, like you were able to get 30, 50 Ks, and like for myself, coming from rugby as well, but more of a sprinter, and now the 5 NEOPS, like I can't get past. I mean, I don't know the last time I did 5 Ks in a row without a calf going, without knee going, but I've had to strip it all back like you did with your breathing, but I've stripped it back with the whole connection side of things, working with Rich and get hip flexor, getting the calves, the hamstrings, the glutes connected together. And now leading into a High Rocks event I'm doing in December, I'm now a year later reaping the benefits of all the work I've been doing alongside the breath. I mean, I can do so much more with my breath. But you can see how the two marry up really nicely, and being fully aware, connected, and breathing to be in control. Because I've been so out of control of my running for so long because I've been used to being injured. My brain is literally going as I'm running, shit my calf, shit my hamstring, shit my knee, etc., etc., etc.
Yeah, predicting your injuries. Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I started training for that 50K run on the 1st of January, and I did the run on the 28th of February. I never in my life thought that would be possible. Was it February or? Anyway, I think it was actually March. I think it was I had like 3 months to prepare for it, but it made the training so much more fun that I could actually push myself and actually do it. And I was excited for Saturday morning, because Saturday morning was always the long run, and I was always Friday night. I was sitting there doing this, and I was always, you know, I couldn't wait for Saturday morning, and that's so bizarre for me because I'm just not into it. But then you mentioned High Rocks. I did that last year. I did the first one up at the showgrounds.
Yeah.
And what I did right, because I'm not a runner, and I was still coming back from, you know, I didn't run for years because of my spine and the way my back was and all that. So I couldn't run from here to the door, and I had to retrain and relearn how to run. So by the time I got to High Rocks, I was still finding my confidence with it. So I made the decision, okay, I'm a strong guy, and the rope pulls and the sled pushes and all that stuff, that was right in my wheelhouse. That's the only reason I did the event, was because I love those things and I wanted to show off. You know, it was real ego stuff. So what I decided was like, okay, cool. On those events, you may mouth breathe. I want to go hard, and I want to push the shit out of myself on those events. So the 1K ski erg, or the 1K row, they were nose mouth, but breathe in hard. That sort of thing, really sort of allowing just hairs standing up on end just from doing those 2 breaths there. You know, it really sort of sets alight the nervous system. You're like, fuck you, let's go.
Yeah, cool.
And then on the running, because I knew I wasn't a good runner, the running was all recovery. So I did it nose, mouth until I'd recovered enough to nose, and just maintain that pace for the 4 laps or whatever it was. Then get to the event and smash it. Burpee broad jumps. Just go. Kick the shit out of yourself, and then get back to the running. So after the first run in my heat, I was dead last.
Yeah, right.
By the end of the event, I came third in my heat. Not the whole thing. I'm not that good. I'm not that good. But at no point did I didn't pass any of the people I recognized from my heat on the running.
No, just all on the events. Yeah, cool.
The whole run was a constant flow of people running past me.
Yeah.
But I smashed the shit out of it because I chose that was going to be, the running was my weakness. So I had to dial it back. If I did the running, God, that would have been the longest hour or whatever it was of my life, because it would have, in here would have just gone to shit because this running's kicking my ass. So I just went, and I found it funny that people were running past me so much, because you're constantly seeing brand new waves come in as well. So they're all fresh. And I'll see you in 20 minutes to see how you feel, man. You know, but then when I got to the sleds, I was fresh. I was like, there was no leaning on the sled. I saw people like hands on knees go before they'd even started the event, and I just got there, went straight into it. Let's go. Farmer carry, all that stuff. So it's, find out what works for you and breathe that way.
Yeah, it's interesting. What I've noticed with High Rocks, just slowly getting into it now, is like it's a lot of runners are doing it and not having a clue how to do the events in between, the stages in between. Whereas someone like me and yourself, like come from CrossFit
You'll love watching the rope pull. The rope pull's hilarious.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
You'll love it. It's so good.
Yeah, and you're making me feel good. Like you're giving me goosebumps thinking about it. It's like I'm actually going to go into it with the same mindset you have, because yes, like I say, I'm a running coach and all that, but my running isn't up there as it could be. But the CrossFit side of things, the sleds, the row, the ski, like I can push that and recover on the run, sorry. Because it's the big reason why I challenge myself to do it, to get my body right for it. And then adding in the breath side of things, like adding with intention and being in control and choosing. Like I love the way you said, I chose to do this. Like you chose to use your body in the best way possible to your strengths and your weaknesses.
Yeah.
And it's a really, really cool concept for a lot of people, like who do struggle with the breath. Like once you condition this and train it, you get to choose how you feel.
Yeah, 100%. You can choose. And I would love to do that event again. I know I might do. I know it's coming up soon, but I might do it again. Or I've got everything I need here to do it again. But I'd really like to maybe try it and beat the shit out of myself and really push the whole thing.
Okay.
Treat the whole thing as a sprint, because I choose to. So, it's how do you want to do this? It's like any workout that you rock up to. It's like, am I going to kick this shit out of myself today, or am I going to survive, or how am I going to plan this thing?
Yeah.
Do I want to be on my knees within the first 2 events and see if I can maintain that and see if I can stay in that discomfort for that long? Or do we get more of a game plan like I spoke of earlier and go, okay, this is the best way I can do this, which leans a little bit towards survival, but at the same time you can also willingly give yourself a bit of a nudge as and when you feel necessary. Yeah, cool. And of course, all game plans can be changed as they go, so you can just change them. This isn't working, this might work, try this and see how you go. I mean, fortunately for me, on the day everything went to plan.
Yeah, nice.
I'd done the training, because it's one of those things, it turns into a performance at the end of the day. So once you know how to do all the things and how to do them hard and fast, go crazy, and then enjoy the run, slow it down. And it's quite a vibe in there. The music's high, there's loads of people, there's heaps of people watching, so you can actually sort of experience and look around and enjoy yourself while you're doing the run. Yeah, wave at the people that came to see you do it, or just laugh at the people who are taking it super, super seriously and sprinting around you, or have a friendly word with someone as you're running around. It's
No, cool.
entirely.
The closer I get to it, the more I'm looking forward to it because, yeah, my body's in a better position now, and having a bit more of a tactic that way is certainly going to help out.
I mean, you love it, man. It's like every CrossFitter's dream. You know,
Yeah, just a long workout.
simple, uncomplicated movements that require a bit of grunt and then a bit of a jog. You know,
Yeah, a bit of a jog. Yeah, just okay.
You know, and then finishing off with some wall balls that no one's really checking the depth of, so you can have some fun with it.
Lighter ball as well, isn't it?
Hey,
It's
yeah.
lighter.
I had this real naive idea that I was going to do it in 2 sets of 50.
Did it work?
No, nowhere near it. I got like 20 out the first time, and I was like, "Oh shit, I'm pretty tired."
Okay, yeah, because that was actually my plan, 250. But yeah, if you're saying that,
Yeah, but but the wall ball is the only thing that I can't really do here at my house because, and at the time I wasn't at a CrossFit gym, and I've got a basketball hoop board that is about 10 feet, but it's got a big rubber bit across the bottom, and I've only got those really hard ball. So it would hit the base of that, ping out, and get you right on the bridge of the nose. So I kind of like lost interest in training the wall ball.
yeah.
But again, we like simple things like wall balls are brilliant. And I was at CrossFit the other day and we had to do heaps of them, but it's nose breathe down, mouth breathe up.
Oh, see, I do it the other way.
So if you inhale down,
yeah,
therefore that maintains your rhythm. So everything we do needs to be in some sort of rhythm, either visually, audibly, and physically in here. So if we get all those rhythms running at the same time, your 10 wall balls turns into 20, and then you step away and go, huh, that was I'm going straight to the thing rather than having to breathe hard. You know, you regulated to the point where you didn't go out too fast, you didn't slow down, the ball didn't all of a sudden get super heavy out of nowhere. You just, and the harder you breathe out, it's almost like you're trying to blow it away from you, but it makes the body work that little bit harder because you're giving the exhale a push, and then you and so at no point are you double breathing. You don't, and then the panic doesn't set in. You're fully mindful of the number that you've done. Oh, right, maybe I'll do 5 more, and you never get to the point where you do that 1 rep that we shouldn't have done. You always stop right at the right moment, or usually past where you thought it would be, but you always stop before you try and attempt that rep that will destroy your next movement, and then you're in complete control. And then you turn, you walk away and go, yeah, let's go do some pull-ups or whatever the hell it is, or run.
No, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then, the more you do it, the faster it gets, and the more in control you get. And then it's like that moment where everyone around you is moving like crazy people, and you're just kind of gliding through everything. And then and then you finish whatever your task is, the workout, the run, whatever, and everyone else is still going. You're kind of like, what happened there? Did I do it right? Have I missed something? So it's like, I was finding myself finishing workouts and everyone was either lying on the floor half dead or they were still going. And I was like, I don't feel like I've done it right in some way because I wasn't used to it. And it's such an interesting feeling being that aware of yourself and what's going on around you, that whilst in the middle of a high intense experience, it's crazy.
Yeah, cool. That's very cool. Yeah, and that's why I've always loved wall balls, is just getting to the rhythm of the breath. And it's what I teach in the class all the time. And you can just go forever, just focus on the breath. And it does feel like it's just 20, 30, 40. So,
And the same with the thrusters is the same movement. And I say this because throughout my entire CrossFit career, all the competitive stuff I did, all the things I did, thrusters was one of the things that I just go, oh. And I knew that I would have to make up the rest of the workout by going crazy because the thruster would kill me every time. But now with that breathing pattern, stop.
Well,
like old Mr. Froning used to, stop at the top, inhale down, stop, inhale down, exhale up, stop, Oh my God, it's so easy now. It just, and yes, I'm well more connected to my glutes as well, which also helps to relieve the pain in the quads I used to get. But it's just life changing. It's one of those things I wish I knew 5, 10 years ago, and I've been so much
Oh,
better off.
100%.
30
100%.
years, 30 years ago would have been even better, but so it's yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm always saying if I could go back 25 years with the knowledge I have now, I wouldn't have done all my ACLs. I wouldn't have done all these injuries.
Yeah.
But
That's
what can you
why
do?
we just tell everyone else about it, I hope they listen.
Yeah, that's our journey.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Cool. All right. Well, I'm gonna have to go because my battery's down to 5% and it keeps ticking down every 20 seconds. So, no, thanks for that, Barney. That was great.
my
Hopefully,
pleasure.
yeah, some great knowledge there. So we'll piece this up and send a bit more out. But I will see you Saturday, and we
Well,
will get more into the running technique and then have a bit more chat about this.
cool, man. Look forward to it.
Cheers,
Thanks for
Barney.
having me.
See you then.
See you then.
Bye.